Yes, we got twice as many people on the call today as what we usually do by the sounds of that echo. Whew, gosh, that's a little disconcerting to hear all of that racket on there. So I'd like to welcome you all to the call today. Mike, are you on here?
Yes, I am.
And Eva and Yvonne?
Yeah.
Yes, we are.
Okay, we got everybody on there. Terry, of course.
I'm on.
Okay, we're all set to go. How is everybody out there?
Wonderful.
Great.
Okay.
I guess you're the only one who can say anything.
Okay, we're going to have a fun call today. Gosh, what a spectacular experience we had, and we're going to update you on it. We learned a lot. Don't forget, this is our team training site. When you sign up somebody, let's see. Okay, there it is. When you sign up somebody into your business, don't forget to enter them into our email loop to get notices on all of these conference calls and webinars. This is becomingapremier.com. We also, and this is an old message, but now, today, if you go there, you'll see a posting on this webinar today. If you ever don't get an email, it's posted on the front page of the site. Of course, then if you register and log in, which is separate from entering your email address in our newsletter, that's a separate deal. When you register and log in, you can see a lot of these past webinars, phenomenal training in the back office. And thanks to Sam White for recording all of this stuff. Log in, and there's a Getting Started training for new members in there. Lots of great stuff in there. So let's get the ball rolling. Yes, I love this slide. 40 million bottles, 100% by word of mouth. Yes, we are a billion-dollar brand. We've done $1 billion so far in sales. Phenomenal success because of the power of this product. Our next goal is to do $1 billion a year. So that's where we're headed. And with some of the announcements that Zango has made this year, what we're going to be talking about today, that is in the bag in my view. So, but here's the Fairmont Hotel. And, you know, this is a funny thing. And I'd like to give you just a little bit of background on the life and times of a 500K Premier, you know. Basically, we got a notice a few months ago that Zango was planning on having an elite summit in Seattle. And they wanted to have a little city meeting in the morning. And said, listen, if you want to, you know, they actually owed me a favor because we were supposed to have Dr. Templeman here last fall, and we kind of got forgotten about, and he got totally booked. And he said, well, we're having an elite summit, which was a fantastic thing to have it in Seattle. Never had one here before. Well, I don't think we'll ever have one again. Well, they're going to have a little city meeting. A city meeting is just a small meeting in the morning for a couple hours with a couple of the founders. And they said, but if you want to take over the room, we've got it booked until 5. If you want to take over the room in the afternoon, you can do with it whatever you want. And I thought, wow, all these elite summit people, 100Ks and up, are all going to be gathering from all over Western United States. Let's put together a training in the afternoon at the Fairmont Hotel, which is in downtown Seattle. And so that's how this whole thing happened. We've been working on this for several months. And here is the meeting room the day of the event. When we got there, we found out that the room wasn't as big as we thought, and there wasn't as many chairs in it as we thought, and there wasn't as much room for more chairs as we thought. And we immediately, by 20 to 10, we could see we were going to be slammed. And that is the packed meeting room that we had. I think there's around 550 or 600. But the thing is that the hotel actually brought a guy to the front of the door and closed the room down just after it started, put it like a security guard on the front of the door. These people are lined up trying to get in. These other people in the back can't get in the room. I've never seen a hotel close down a meeting room, and these people were standing there hoping to get in. And there was like a security guard there, so the meeting was closed because it was full. And there's all of the people in the standing room only area. And if you look over here, look at these fancy chairs. These people drugged these chairs up the steps from the lobby so they had something to sit on. You know, that's the kind of event it was. It was absolutely packed. And, of course, the people that were in there enjoying the whole thing didn't realize the kind of chaos that Terry and I were going through outside trying to deal with this mess.
Well, and for me, it was just outrageous because I was trying to get people to sit down, and I did have seats reserved for all of the speakers, and people did reserve seats, as we all do when we go to meeting rooms. But what happened is they had to let go of those seats because other people had to sit down. And so Art's going to show the next slide, because you're going to see that here is Aaron Garrity and Joe Morton and Dwayne Dyer. And Art Manville sitting there. They've all given their seats up, and they're sitting on the floor or standing. And so I never did sit all day. And so it was quite interesting to watch this whole thing unfold, but it was very exciting because you always want a full meeting. Well, Joe Morton came over afterwards and said you definitely had a very full meeting. We were bursting at the seams, but it was exciting.
Yeah, check out the seating room here. We got Dwayne Dyer, lead distributor, Joe Morton, Bob Schmidt, Anton Garrity, and actually Dr. Templeman was sitting down here at one time cross-legged, and somebody got him a seat.
I told him that was making me look very bad. I said, Dr. Templeman, you have to get up and you have to sit in the chair that I did arrange for you. So he went over and sat in it.
And this is about and actually the hotel came in during the event and actually asked people standing around the other side to leave. They allowed us to stay up here sitting on the floor of this incredible event. And so that was the way that the event started. It was pretty exciting. And we had a couple of team members that were attending the summit, the dinner on Friday night before this meeting started, and we've invited them to come on and share their thoughts about it. They had a lot of people drive over from Eastern Washington, and so joining us on the call now is Yvonne and Eva Marie Sarda.
How you doing, Art?
Hey, how you doing, Yvonne?
Great.
Hey. Yeah, it was a very, very exciting meeting, very exciting weekend. And the energy that existed in that room was just absolutely incredible, as was the energy in at the meeting or at the dinner the night before.
Right. Yeah.
And you and Terry did a fantastic job of organizing that. I thought it was wonderful.
Yeah. Well, it was pretty hairy at times. But the feedback we got, and I think a lot of us just felt a lot of a shift, a sort of a feeling of harmony. Also joining us there, and then we're going to get into the details of it, but to make the next introduction here, did you say something yet, Eva?
Oh, I think I did. Yes, by the way, thank you so much. You guys did it was an awesome event. We brought a whole bunch of people over from Wenatchee area, and they got to experience this tremendous amount of energy that Zango has, actually, and it was really, really exciting.
Okay, and also there was 200K Premier Mike Erskine, looking really styling here with his new haircut, and he's got a little thing on the beard there that looked really snazzy. How you doing, Mike?
Fantastic.
Hey, did you have a good time up there, Mike?
Zango just knows how to throw on an event. 5-star hotel, the only one in Seattle, so you just have to get to one if you've never been to one.
Yeah, it was a fantastic thing, and Mike, you had a lot of people there, and I know the power of events. Some of the folks in your team have really been taking it up a notch since this event, right?
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the things that we learned at the Elite Summit, and we're going to get some feedback. You guys can jump in on this at any point in time. One of the things John Diggles talked about is how powerful the Zango invasion has been, that it was beyond any of their expectations. So far, they've had 600,000 visitors to Zango.tv. They had 150,000 unique visitors to the invasion itself when that was launched in 3 days. Nothing like this has ever been done in the history of network marketing. And this is an interesting thing here, too. He said the average visit to the site is 15 to 20 minutes, and so they're definitely going to do more of these. And gosh, if you ever need just a little bit of a boost, just go in there and pick out and watch a few videos. I was in there the other night, just some fantastic stuff. We have all these different channels, and Terry and I, our goal is to begin to upload training videos to Zango.tv and have them in the back office of BecomingAPremier.com. So this is a big thing, and it was so successful. You'll see more of it. So now let's talk about the Share It campaign. Most of you have heard about this, and this is an incredible campaign that I think is going to create a tremendous momentum. They have actually run these special promotions in a couple different countries, in Singapore and Malaysia, on the opening of these, and they saw phenomenal results. And basically, the bottom line is, if somebody goes on a 2-case ADP and stays on it for 3 months, they're going to get a free membership. And gosh, if you've ever wondered how to get people from 1 case to 2 case, this is it. And Yvonne, I know that you've had some experience with this week. How do you think this is going to roll out?
Well, the early indications are it's going to be absolutely fantastic because everybody that has signed up in our group or has signed somebody up in our group have done it on 2 cases. We haven't signed up anybody, or none of our, especially our local leaders who went to the event over the weekend. They've all been working 2 case sign-ups, and one of the gentlemen who came to the event, he's been with us for about 2 months. Signed up for shifted from 1 case to 2 case auto ship when he came back.
Right. Yeah. And we've got a slide, the magic slide that's being called in Zango, and we're going to show you another reason to get on the 2 case ADV. What are you seeing? Any impact from this, Mike, in your downline since this has been announced?
The same as Eva. Everybody's getting actually 2 cases. I've seen actually 6 and 10 cases come through, and we had to pay $35 when we started, so now it's free. So it's we're telling people to keep 4 for yourself and then share 4 as soon as possible.
And the next thing that we talked about is the new Zango single, and what they announced at the Elite Summit is this box that's coming with it. You're basically going to get 3 of these boxes with 30 units each in them for your 1 ounce single. And basically, so it looks like a bottle. It's got the shape. The bottle's on the front. It has this nice little display box. Could be very, very powerful. And, people are thinking about taking these to, like, trade shows and selling them for $1 to cover most of your costs or $2 to make a small profit. People are very willing, if they're interested in something, to pay a little bit of money. It's not like you have to totally give these away if you're in a retail environment. But basically, it's 1 ounce of Zango juice. It comes in this display. It costs $130, and you get 90 of them, 91 ounces. So 3 of these boxes of 30, and that's going to be starting to ship with the February auto ships. So if you want to get a box of this and a box of regular juice, change your auto ship. Call in and change your auto ship here before, like, about the 8th or 9th of February, and they will ship this in place of your auto ship. Now, if you're just wanting to get your bottles and you want to order these in addition to your auto ship, you can go ahead after the 15th. You'll be able of February in U.S. You'll be able to order these. Terry?
Yeah, the only thing that I would like to say, and I really think there's going to be a great amount of power in using these, but you want to use them right. If you are handing them out, either stay with that person while they're sipping it, or else make sure you get their business card or their phoning or email information. Otherwise, you're going to have no contact with them. And so it's really important to do that, because otherwise you're just going to be handing them out. They'll be tasting them, and we will actually just be softening the market out there. So do make sure you get a contact number for your person.
Yeah, any comments, Eva or Yvonne or Mike, on this, how you think this is going to work?
Well, we think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, and I agree completely with Terry. I think the biggest mistake you could make is just willy-nilly hand them out or leave them on a retail establishment counter where people can just help themselves with no possibility of follow-up on the part of the distributors. So we can't emphasize too strongly exactly what Terry said. You've got to. Yeah,
you got to follow up. Yeah.
You got to follow up.
Another possibility, obviously, also have the newspaper, which is very visual, Dr. Choice or whatever next to it, so people can kind of get that connection between the Zango juice and the mangosteen, along with your business card as well. So I think it's just a tremendous marketing tool that can really open a lot of different alternative ways of marketing this juice.
Exactly.
Well, for me, what I look at is, our old philosophy of buy a case, share a case. Now you can buy a case and share 90 1-ounce samples in a month if you wish.
Exactly.
Imagine getting 90 of these a month, or 60 or 30 of these a month out into your meat market or your warm market with a little bit of follow-up. Here, I'd like you to try something. Give me your business card, and I'll get back to you. And if you like it, I'll show you where to get some more information. This could be like step number one of the exposure process, even before the CDs in the newspaper. This would be like the simple, easy way to open the door. Don't you think, Mike?
Well, yeah, we've been waiting actually about 2 years for these. Like you say, our keep 4 bottles. You have 90 to share, and when you bring somebody in new, now you can leave 30 samples with them. You know, right when they sign up, they get a case plus 90 samples, and then when they get their product, they just give the 30, you know, the box right back to you. So you can really get a lot of product, a lot of samples out in your organization, and this is what's going to take us to the billion.
You know,
I think so. Go ahead, Yvonne.
Yeah, the other thing that I like about this is, you know, usually the first question that people have is, what's it taste like? Because they are so conditioned to thinking that anything that's good for you health-wise must taste terrible.
Right.
And in the past, it's been very difficult. You have to carry a bottle and a shot glass around to give them a sample. Now, you could carry a few of these in your jacket pocket.
Yeah,
right.
and we work the cold market at times through the Radio Lead program, and there's been occasion that we actually shared a bottle of juice with someone and we think it's worthwhile who has some really serious health conditions. But this allows you really easily to put that little packet right in the mail with your newspaper and your brochures.
Okay, sounds great. I mean, there's a picture of you and your team there, Eva and Yvonne. You had a big turnout come over from Eastern Washington. What is the overall response from those that have never been to an event like this?
They were absolutely ecstatic, thrilled, and turned on big time.
It was a fun group to be with them. It was really neat meeting everyone, and we all went to lunch, and it was a fun bonding kind of a time, and they got to see the big picture. They got to see who the owners are and how dynamic this company actually is, and see the leaders. So it was really gave them that great exposure to how powerful Sango is and what a great business opportunity this actually is.
Yeah, one of the things that I wanted to talk about here, and I'm kind of switching my slides around in order as we're talking here, and I think it's time to talk about the magic slide. And I'll tell you what, when they showed this slide on Friday night, I mean, I think you could almost see jaws drop in the room. This is so powerful and so significant. And basically what this slide is showing, this is showing the difference. Now, what this is the people that are coming in on one case. When somebody signs up on a one-case ADP, they are in silver here. If they signed up on a two-case ADP, they are in blue. And what this is the average GV9 and GV6 and GV3 after 12 months. And so the bottom line is that if somebody comes in on a one-case ADP, their GV9 12 months later will be on the average, 500% higher. 500% more income 12 months later by joining the business on a two-case ADP as opposed to a one-case ADP. So, listen, if you're out there talking to a business person that has an interest in the business and they can't make up their mind whether to go to one case or two case, you can tell them this statistic. Listen, if you're interested in the business, would you rather make 5 times as much money, or would you rather not make 5 times as much money? Because that's basically the difference. So if we look at this, and I'm going to throw this out to the speakers here, how could there be such a significant difference between how you join the business? And then I've got my own thoughts on it.
Well, my thoughts on it are that people do what their sponsor does. So
right.
if you sign up with a two-case auto ship, everybody that you bring in, or a very high percentage of the people that you bring in, are going to do the same, and they're going to get the people under them to do the same, the people that they sign up. And I also think I think it's a two-pronged situation. That people do as I just said, but also I think that the people who are, and I don't have any statistics to back this up, but we can do an analysis pretty soon here, but I think that the people that come in at 2Case Auto Ship, because they do have one case to drink and one case to share,
Right.
They become much more potent business builders, and they retain the people that they bring in. So it's a combination of two things. They sign up people at 2Case Auto Ship, so that's a factor of two right there. And secondly, the people that they do sign up have a much higher retention rate.
What do you think about it, Mike?
Exactly, but the compensation plan, to maximize it, you have to be on a 2-case monthly reorder.
Right.
So to maximize on your fast start, the 15%, you have to start with 2-case monthly reorder.
Right.
Which I try to use monthly reorder, or sorry, I got that from you because, ADP, it's that's the way it is, or auto delivery. It's sort of
Right.
like, do you want to become a distributor? I usually say member. We can become a membership, Costco, Sam's,
Right.
sort of
Yes.
like what you do in
Yes.
the training. So little tiny words help.
You know what I think is basically, I think there's a lot of factors, of course, involved in this big difference, but I think it all starts with intention, And so if you have a weak intention, well, I'll just get a case and I'll try it out, and I don't have any to share with anybody. I'm just going to try it out. So you begin with a very sort of weak level of commitment and a weak level of intention, and then that weak level of commitment and intention will sort of duplicate throughout your downline. And so, how can you out-attract who you are? So I think that the 2Case is really a lot about, somebody that sees the vision, is not afraid to make a commitment, jumps in there, and will attract people that will be more like him and do the same thing. So that behooves you. If you're on this line here, if you're one of these master distributors that are listening here, you can't afford to have a business builder, not for you, but for them, come in on a 1-case ADP. And if you believe that a 2-case ADP is the only way to go, and you're strong on it with people, they will not come in any other way. I'm telling you what, you are the leader of your team. People that are looking at this and are interested in this don't know anything. And so we see it all the time. If you look at somebody that comes in on a 1-case ADP, everybody follows suit, and pretty soon you've got a 1-case ADP duplication factor. But I think the bottom line is much worse than that. So let's review this here. I've got a little slide that kind of reviews this. 1-case versus 2-case on sign-up, ADP that is, they evaluated after 12 months the GV9, and GV9 refers to your group volume on 9 levels, and this is basically what our unilevel checks are paid on once you qualify for 9 levels. 500% higher when you start with a 2-case ADP, and they were all higher, the GV3, the GV6. So that's a very, very powerful slide. Now let's get into Mike, and I'm going to talk to Mike about this one here, because let's get into some of the things that we learned from the training that was in the afternoon. And this is I'm going to talk about what Bob Schmidt was basically talking about, which I thought was a very, very powerful training. And everybody's wondering, how do I build a business? How do I build a network marketing business? I have said before that your job in building a business is basically twofold in a sense. It's sponsoring new people and helping the people that you sponsor new people, right? And so Bob is talking about the key is to find 3 builders in depth. And now, when I'm talking about this form of depth here, I'm not talking about placements, okay? We're not talking about placements. If you sponsor Bob, and Bob turns into a builder, and he starts sponsoring people, your first goal is to help Bob sponsor people, but what you're looking for is a builder that Bob has sponsored. I mean, it's nice if there's other builders in here that he hasn't sponsored, if you're building depth in placement. But if Bob wants to build a business and you want to make Bob strong, you want to find builders below Bob that Bob has sponsored. And what Bob Schmidt was basically talking about is so you're always looking, who does Bob know, and who can, and not wait for Bob to find his own builders, but to even get a list of Bob, and Mike is going to jump in on this in a minute, to work depth into Bob and not wait for him to follow up, not wait for him to get information packets out, not wait for Bob even to make the calls if necessary, because you know that if you want Bob to be a strong builder, you've got to build basically three levels of depth below Bob in sponsorship depth. This is what is critical. Don't confuse placement depth with sponsorship depth, but sponsorship depth. So Bob, to build him strong, you want somebody that he has sponsored who turns into a builder. A builder is somebody that is actively building and sponsoring people. And now you want to find a builder for this guy that Bob has sponsored somewhere. This guy sponsors somebody. You're looking now for a builder that he has sponsored. And to make this organization strong, you also want to find a builder that he has sponsored. And when you can get to 3 levels of depth, then he says you've got something very, very strong. And I think this is very, very powerful and not something that a lot of us have focused on. Mike, we've talked about this. Anything you wanted to add to this whole scenario and how you see this working?
Just so people understand that Bob talked about, we're working from the bottom. That bottom builder who gets his list of, say, 10, get the list of top 5, and then basically the new builder is going to try to set up 3-way appointments with the upline. Could be a premier, $200K, $500K. If you always want to have 2 or 3 different people that you can. If the premier's busy, if not, maybe you can get a hold of me or your next upline, or say you are. So that 3-way call is so important that we always lose. And I remember going back over 4 years. I've been in business 4 years and 2 months. When I got involved, I used to call you 3-4 times a day. Art, can you talk to this person? When somebody new came in, Art, I need you to, let tell a little bit of your story and Terry and where you were. So we work from the bottom, and if they don't want to get their list of 5, then those people can just drink the juice. You can keep in contact with them, and maybe they don't want to become a builder. Not everybody is going to become a builder. So it's for the people that want to get the list of 5, they want to work with the upline, and they're serious about making some residual income. And then I was telling Ed Massey from Colorado, I said, this concept is like an old school. We're going back and getting involved and let your new people know. I had this sort of analogy. You look at the leaderboard, you see Lisa and Ann and Aaron and Matt and Susan. And I came up with this, why is that? People ask, well, how are they doing it? Well, they're talking to people and they're asking for credit cards. So they're asking people for this, not the sale, but they're asking people. They're not waiting, go to my website and join. This is $1 million business, so we have to not to get off the subject, but we have to invest in the business. Just over the last 2 weeks, my retirement fund went down $16,000. I put in $500 a month. I've been doing it for over 20 years. So, what are you going to retire on? So, what I tell people now is that if you can put in like $350 a month into your business. Basically, the average premier
instead of your retirement fund that's going down,
yeah, because $350 a month in 20 years is about $100,000. At 5% is $500 a month. If you could take that same business mind concept, put it into or half of it into Zango, in 2 or 3 years you're at $10,000 a month.
Exactly, Mike. Well, what Bob is talking about, that's a great point. And, with the economy the way that it is, everybody needs to be very aware of this when they're talking to their prospects and remind them that they need to look for other options. Yvonne, I want to get your feedback on this concept of depth, because I know that a lot of times we have people come in that really we're hoping that they'll build a business. I think what Bob is talking about is kind of forcing the action a little bit. Did you have any thoughts when he made this presentation, or Eva?
Yeah, well, that is very true, is that when we first start off in the very beginning, we work really hard with the people we sponsored, and they and all of a sudden, they don't get on the phone calls, they don't sort of step up to the plate. They say they want to build a business, and they talk to a few people, and they're not kind of really working it, and all of a sudden they have to sponsor somebody who really is working the business, and we keep talking to that same sponsor, encouraging them to encourage the other person who is working the business, but they're not doing it. So basically it comes time for us to step up to the plate and work with that person who has the desire to work the business, and I think we forget that. We kind of look down in our organization, and we kind of put the responsibility on the person who sponsored that person, but realize that they're not doing the work. So it behooves us to then give them a call and sort of get them engaged in the system and work with them.
Yeah, let's take Bob, for instance, here. Let's say that Bob decides he wants to build a business, but really hasn't got off the blocks. You go to Bob and say, who do you know? Give me a list of 5 names, and let's see who that you are going to approach here. And your goal is then to find a builder for Bob. Go ahead, Yvonne.
Yeah, and to just emphasize that, we are having a training luncheon at 1 o'clock today for people on our 52nd level, because they have expressed a real interest in doing it. 2 or 3 people in series at the top of that line are not doing anything. So we've gone to the people below that. And there are going to be probably 8 people at lunch today for training.
Yeah, I had a coaching call with somebody. I can't tell you what level he's on, and his sponsor is not active. His sponsor is not active. His sponsor is not active. And so, this person is very deep in our organization. I had a coaching call with him on Wednesday, and we're going to do a pod call for his group next week. So, I call it looking for strength below weakness, particularly when you see somebody doing something. Look down into your organization, even for somebody ordering an extra case of juice, and pick up the phone and reach out. I mean, Mike, you basically have a premier that was at the Elite Summit, Aaron McCon, that came to the Elite Summit and now looks like has got a huge builder and group of builders coming into Norway. This is a guy that you never sponsored, and you found him in your organization, connected with him, and helped him become a premier, right, Mike?
Exactly, and he brought a gentleman, Care, who was an old friend, and who brought his mom, and they're from Norway. They live in the United States. The dad was a fishing boat captain, and so that's what he does 3 months out of the year. So his brother and the cousin are both network marketers in another company, and so they just both came in yesterday.
Yeah, it looks like, that group could go, we got a couple people in Norway from that, and that group could go, that guy could go 5K very, very quickly.
There's one thing that Mike said earlier that I really want to emphasize, and that's the business about the 3-way call. I think it is absolutely the most powerful tool we have in our bag of tricks, and nowhere near enough people utilize it.
Why do you think they're not using it, Yvonne? Are we lazy or what?
No, I think
by nature, yes.
Yes, but I also think that there is a feeling about, my upline must be very busy. I know that they're always on the telephone. They're always going to meetings. I don't want to bother them. But let me tell you about the power of the 3-way call. We have a guy on about our 18th level up in Canada who utilizes the 3-way call all the time, and we have a guy in Florida who does it. He's on about our 12th level, and he uses it quite a lot. And every single person over the course of the last 2 years that they've brought on a 3-way call, they signed up, and so they think, wow. The Sardas are geniuses about doing this. It's not that we're geniuses. Anybody could do it because it's the power of the 3-way call. Right. Yeah. It's a wonder, the most underutilized, I would say, tool in our business. No question about it. I agree completely, and And we are constantly telling our people, please utilize the three-way call. And if we're not here, call Art. He would welcome your call.
Okay, guys, listen, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just can't wait any longer to talk about this next topic here, okay? I'm just sitting here at the edge of my seat because the thing that I'm most excited about I haven't even talked about. This has all been a build-up so far, okay? And Eva and Yvonne, don't forget, we're going to talk about Dr. Templeman a little bit later in his thing here, but I just have to move this next topic forward, and hopefully Terry will be around here to help out on this subject matter, because I'm telling you what, this was an amazing experience that we had at this Elite Summit. I mean, imagine this. Terry and I are driving up to the hotel that morning of the event, and we're talking about, she's been invited to a luncheon for leaders, and we're talking about some of the things that she might talk about at that luncheon. And, of course, I am going on about this skincare program, and I'm saying, wow, I know Beverly Hollister's behind this. Here's a lady that has launched $100 million skincare lines in the past for other network marketing companies, and she just happens to be working with Zango, and a skincare line is being launched. I know she's involved yet. We haven't heard anything from her yet, right? And I'm saying, you know what? What we've got to do, Terry, is we've got to pin Beverly down at some time during this summit. I've got a lot of questions that I want to ask her about this thing. I know she knows more than what we're hearing about. And so we're having this whole conversation on the way up there and about how we're going to talk to her and pin her down into a corner. And when we get to the dinner on Friday night, we plan to get together with Mike and Melissa and Eva and Yvonne, and sit with our own team at dinner. Maybe Eric Welsh and Fifi Cheek, this is kind of what we had. But the seats were already pre-assigned and numbered. And they basically told you what number your seat was at, what table you were sitting at. So there was really no other choice. And where do you think, out of all of the, talk about the law of attraction, where do you think I was sitting for dinner?
Beverly. Right next to Beverly.
And Terry was right beside me. Terry, what did you think about that? Wasn't that an incredible experience?
Well, not only was it incredible, but as we were driving down there, we knew Gary Hollister was coming, but we still did not know that Beverly was going to be there and was going to be a part of this. I knew I was going to the women's luncheon, but I also didn't know that Beverly was going to be there. So you can imagine our surmise as we went to our table, and there was Beverly Hollister and Gary Hollister's name right beside Art and I. So it really was a very magical moment.
And I'm telling you what, it did not take long for the questions to start, man. I mean,
the whole table was buzzing.
We were all over this lady.
We were. That was the subject of the conversation, basically, of the night, was the skincare. And so it was magnificent. And I think it was just 45 minutes prior to the event, whoever was in charge of that particular event to start it off actually told Beverly, could you please talk about the skincare? The field needs to hear from it as the 100K is enough. And so she did do a little talk, and Art will refer about that.
Okay, well, I'm telling you what, guys. I mean, we all knew that this skincare was going to be good, okay? And we had a feeling. We've known that the mangosteen has been used topically with great success around the world. We knew all of that. What we didn't know was the incredible technology that Zango has got their hands on. And Beverly opened up to us sitting around that table, and we were like all ears pinned. And so, gosh, I'm getting a little static on the phone here. I'm going to go through a list of points of the things that she talked to us about here. But the bottom line is Zango has something that is huge. And I'm going to make a prediction right here. This is what came to me this morning. I'm going to make a prediction right here. This is going to be the biggest product launch for a company that already has a product in the history of our industry. So in other words, I'm saying this is going to be the biggest product launch ever by a company that's already in business. And the only other bigger product launch was by Zango, who wasn't in business yet. In other words, this is going to be a huge, huge thing for Zango. And I feel like if we've done $1 billion over the last 5 years of juice, I believe with the momentum and the database and what we've got in place here, we can do $1 billion of skincare over the next 5 years. So I think that the $1 billion deal is done, and I think we're going to be looking at $2 billion here. $1 billion, I would say in 5 years, we'll be doing over $1 billion or more of juice and $1 billion in skincare. Well, it may not be quite as big as the juice because we've got a head start here, but it's going to be huge. And so here's some of the key points. Beverly is completely dedicated herself to the launch of Glimpse, and she is no longer doing general manager of Japan. That's being taken over by somebody else. She has gathered an 8-person launch team, and these are some people that she has worked with in the past. Remember, Beverly has launched 3 major product lines in her career for other network marketing companies. And she has gathered a team that have 73 years experience in launching global brands. And we're not talking about the founders of Zango at all. We're not talking about any of the management team who also, Gary Hollister, of course, came from Merle Norman Cosmetics, right? That's where he met Beverly as the CEO of, so Gary knows skincare as well, doesn't he? So the 8-person team has launched products that have done $16 billion in sales. That's the team that she has got. And one of the ladies she was telling me about turned down this huge deal with QVC, where she could have sold her own skincare line on QVC, which would be a huge project because of the technology that Zango's got. So now what are we talking about with this technology? And, what she's talking about is there's a technology that was out there that has to do with making xanthones in a very small particles. She talked about nanotechnology, very, very small particles of xanthones that have the ability to be either water-soluble or fat-soluble that can go right in to the cellular level because the particles are so small. And this technology was so powerful that other companies like Estee Lauder was after it. And she said, and you can see my quote on the bottom, that is Beverly's quote. She says, honestly, she says, this was like as big as parting of the Red Sea for a company like Zango to get a hold of this technology. That's how powerful it is. This is not just a bunch of mangosteen pericarp thrown into a cream. This is a whole new technology. And she basically says that nutrition for the skin is the new frontier. Now, she also dropped a few other hits. She says this technology that Zango now owns, Zango is invested in this technology. I believe it's also a patented technology. Also has internal applications that they haven't even really considered, but they know that is there. So in other words, there may be other things that this technology can do with xanthones apart from the skin. Terry, I know you can hardly stand it. You got it. I can see you pacing over there. What's your impression of what she said? What did she say that I haven't said already?
Well, we were so delighted to be a part of all of this because I have such great passion in it. Over the years, I've had very, very sensitive skin. I've tried every cream out there that you can imagine, and most of you women and men will know that creams are very expensive of skincare. And so for Zango to come out with something like this that is going to just like blow the socks off of all of the creams and all of the high price creams that are out there is going to be just awesome. But one of the things that she said, and I have talked about this, you guys will remember my words, I've talked about this for many years when I've done three-way calls and coaching calls, is when I had a person that had a skin problem and we would make up a little potion, we found, and this is what one thing Beverly said, is we will find that the people that use the skincare and drink the juice, we're applying it topically and drinking. So we're drinking the juice from the inside out and from the outside in. and we're going to get way faster results. She says, if you get somebody that goes on the skincare and is not drinking the juice, they are not going to get near as fast a results than if you're drinking it and applying it. So I feel this as a very powerful product that is going to be launched. The other thing that I wanted to say is we've crossed all the boundaries with creams and cosmetics with unisex, with males and females. I mean, Art's been using my cream for years and years, and I know all men do. And think of all of the teenagers that struggle with their skin, with their acne out there. You know, we're going to be able to help these kids, and you see they'll be drinking the juice and they'll be applying the cream and get off all of those drugs that they've been putting on in the creams for the kids' skin. I mean, that stuff is brutal. So I see this as a huge, huge thing. We are going to, as 100K is enough, we are going to get some testing stuff and do some trials on it. So that's going to be very exciting. And wow, I can hardly wait.
I think you mentioned we're talking about a 5-product line here by the look of it at this point.
Right. It will be a 5-product line. And so we got some more little tidbits that night, and there will be more to come. You know, she had made a comment that in about 6 weeks we'll get another little tidbit. We called them crumbs.
Yeah, so we don't know exactly when this is going to be launched. One thing that Gary Hollister said to us when we were asking that question, he said one thing about a launch this big, he says you don't want to do it till you're ready. So I'm not sure when ready is. We heard previous rumors a month or so ago that they were hoping to have it ready for the Orlando Regional. Some of us are now wondering whether that'll happen or not, but it's coming, and it's coming soon, and I believe it's going to be huge.
They want to make sure that everything is in its place, and you know, Beverly's been working on this for a very long time, and so she has been working with it, of course, on her own skin. I asked her that, and you guys all know what beautiful skin Beverly has anyways, so you can imagine. But she says you're going to see people have some really dramatic results with this product.
Yeah, visible results.
Yeah,
very, very powerful.
And that's going to be great.
Anything you wanted to add, Eva? But you can hardly wait, right?
Oh, absolutely. I was thinking of putting, you know, the cream on one side and then doing the test on the other.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I want to do that or not, but I think it's just going to be an incredible product. As we know, we put it on our skin, it gets really, really messy. It does work. We're the only ones going to have the sand tones. There's not
this is the technology that is patented. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
but
my gosh.
the thing we really have to remember is it's going to the cellular level. So you know how the juice is able to go into our body and go through the bloodstream. Well, imagine going through the skin. I mean, this is powerful, guys.
It is powerful. One of the things I should say about the Sango TV, there is the launch 2008.
Right.
Where they will get update information in reference to what's happening with the skincare line. And there's some really awesome things that if you go there and you talk about why they use the word glimpse, for instance.
Yeah,
what
exactly.
means behind it. It glimpse of nature prowess. And I thought that was so beautiful. And so
well, actually, they did a test or something. They did some tests in like Starbucks or something, and they walked in and they gave a bunch of names to people, and they asked them if there was a product, if they'd ever heard of a product called this and this and this, and just about everybody thought that they'd heard of a product called Glimpse. There was a name that they thought they just thought that they'd heard of something about that before already, and that's one of the reasons they ended up with this name. Mike, I don't know that you can get any better looking, but can you see yourself putting some of this beautiful cream on your face?
Oh, definitely. I'll put it on my face and go out into the public.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you can't get excited about this company and these products. I mean, this company, Aaron Garrity, is going to take us to the billion with the other founders, but his vision is huge. You know, this company has 100-year goals.
Yeah.
They're committed for their kids, and their kids. So this is $1 million opportunity. So we just, you know, we have to have a game plan. We got to get back to the basics, 3-way calls, presentations, get out your calendar, look at your calendar for last month, see what's on it.
Yeah.
If you see nothing on it, that tells you where you're going.
Yeah, in fact, I'm going to talk a little bit about that, Mike, so you're tying into that. But before, Yvonne, I wanted you to be able to make a comment because we heard from Dr. Templeman twice in the morning, and he came back in the afternoon. And we talked about this yesterday. I wanted to give you a chance to make that comment about what he said about the drug industry and the medical industry.
Yes, well, you know, as usual, for anybody who wasn't there, Dr. Templeman did his usual fantastic presentation in the morning, and in the afternoon he came back and did a very short presentation that I thought was really enlightening, and some of the things that he said were what I really took away from this meeting. One of the things that he said, he did not emphasize the xanthone content of the fruit, but he pointed out that that mangosteen is also a very, very rich source of a lot of different phytonutrients, including catechins. Catechins are the main constituent of green tea, and a week doesn't pass when you can't pick up a newspaper and read something about the health benefits of green tea. Well, a one ounce shot of Zango has the same content of catechins as 2.5 cups of brewed green tea.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting. Yeah.
Yes, it really is. But the other thing that he said, and this is a suspicion that I have had for decades, and it is so good to hear somebody from the medical profession express it. He said the objective of drug companies and the medical industry in general is their goals are not to cure disease. It is to prolong life so that people will spend more and more money on drugs to keep them healthy. Now,
yeah, isn't that amazing? They want to keep them alive, so that they still need medical help, because keeping people alive is much more profitable than having them dead.
And it's much more profitable than curing the disease, because after they're cured, for the rest of their life, they don't buy anything.
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. So they want them kind of semi-alive here. Yep. Okay, let's jump on here. Just wanted to flash up a screen before we go any further here. There's Ailey and Krista. What a great shot of our two daughters together here at dinner that Terry took. Unfortunately, she wasn't in the picture. This is after the event is over. You can tell that you always get some time to chill out and have fun. So this is Saturday night. We went out for a little dinner. She just sent. She doesn't like her picture.
Her drink looks good.
That's an awful picture. Ailey, you can't send instant messages while I'm on a webinar. They come up on the screen. Okay. So anyway, that's funny. Okay. You're tearing me up here. So we had a great time at the event. Here's a quote, and to wrap up the call, there's a couple things I want to talk about. It's a corn maze not far from here that puts up signs. And they've had this up on their sign for a very long time. And I think it's one of the most profound things I've ever read. You can't learn anything that you think you already know. And in fact, I would venture to say there's another 500 people that could be on this webinar today, but they think they already know what I'm going to say, and they don't think they can learn anything else. And so you have to recognize is that you don't know everything, and you have to always be willing to learn. A very powerful thing. You can't learn anything that you think you already know. So how is your 90-day blitz going? How are you doing so far? Remember our 100 presentations to Premier? Marlene did a brilliant job once again of presenting this at the Seattle Summit. How many squares have you filled in so far of presentations? And what is a presentation again? Remember, a presentation is presenting the product or the business to somebody, in my view. To me, passing out a CD is not a presentation, or even sending somebody to your website is not a presentation. But what I think is a presentation, if you're using our exposure process of getting an information packet or a bottle out into people, is having a meaningful follow-up call. So if you just send information out and they're looking at it, I don't really think that constitutes a presentation until you've had follow-up. Certainly sitting down across from at a coffee table is a presentation. You know, telling people all about the juice an extended period of time over the phone could be considered a presentation. So how many presentations have you done so far? Did you move closer to your dreams and goals this last week? Did you actually take the steps necessary? And remember this thing here? Wow, we got a lot of feedback on this, and I've switched it up a little bit, so I want you to listen up and pay attention here, because I want you to give yourself a score for the last 7 days. This is very, very powerful. And here's how you can score yourself. How many of these presentations, how many new people did you present the product or the business to in the last 7 days? Give yourself a point for each one of those, constituting having an extended conversation with somebody, whether you're on the front of an information packet or on the back end. How many three-way calls? Give yourself a point for each three-way call. Actually, I think I'm going to increase the number of points you get for three-way calls because I think it's that important. But let's leave it at 1 point. How many new members did you get on today's webinar and on Eric Welsh's webinar? How many info packs did you get out in the last 7 days? You can give yourself a point for each one of those. So I want you to write these down as I'm leaving them up on the screen. Presentations, three-ways, webinars, info packs. How many of you committed to some major event, either a local event in your area that you're going to attend in this quarter, in the next 90 days, or a regional event like Long Beach, or booking even for Orlando if you're on the East Coast? How many fulfilled your time commitment in the last 7 days? In other words, if you've said that I'm going to put 5 hours of work in my business each week, how many of you fulfilled your time commitment? Whatever that is for you. I don't care if it's 2 hours per week or if it's 20 hours per week. And if you sign someone up in the last 7 days, give yourself 10 points for each sign-up. And you'll see the question thing on the control panel for the webinar where it says questions. You can hit the question thing, and I want you to go ahead while we're talking on the next subject matter and figure out your scores and submit those scores through the question section here according to the points that you have accumulated over the last 7 days. 1 point for presentations, 1 point for three-ways each, 1 point each, 1 point each for new members on a webinar or a conference call. Doesn't even have to be one of ours, okay? Any call or webinar this last week. 1 point each for any info packs that you got out to people or CDs that you got into people's hands. 10 points if you've committed to an event in this quarter. 10 points for fulfilling your time commitment and signing someone up. 10 points each. Now I want you to submit those to me. Come on, guys. There's not a lot of things coming in here. What's your score? Let's get those scores coming in here. And while you're submitting your scores, we're going to talk about this book that Mike and I have been reading. Maybe Yvonne and Eva, we've got a free copy of this book, Pour Your Heart Into It, with Howard Schultz and how Starbucks. They give us one of these. Naturally, we're coming to Seattle. They had to give us a book on how Starbucks built a huge billion-dollar company. And Mike, you were the first one to be raving about how much you've been enjoying this book. I've got a couple thoughts on it, but what have you got out of it so far?
Just on the title, Pour Your Heart Into It, how Starbucks built a company one cup at a time. And it's just an amazing how Howard Schultz left New York in a $75,000 income because he saw this little company, Starbucks, who actually had 5 stores. And they actually didn't sell the coffee, which everybody thinks Starbucks was started on.
Yeah, exactly.
They started selling ground and the bag coffee. They had beans, 5 stores. They had the beans. And it was when he went to Italy and he saw these espressos and all the 1,400 of them in Milan or someplace it was, and it piqued his interest so much that he came back and told the 2 founders, and they said, "Well, no, we don't. We want to just sell the coffee."
Yeah, they didn't want to get into selling espresso and wet coffee. All they wanted to do is the beans. These are the owners of Starbucks, and he was an employee at the time, right?
Yeah, they gave him, actually, after going over it and over and over, they gave him one little section of one of the Starbucks down there in Seattle, and over time, I don't know how many people came through, like 800 people in a day or something. They still did not want to do it, even though it was profitable. They wanted to stay on course with the beans. So they actually let him go out, leave Starbucks for his own dream to start his own company, and basically he had to raise $1.4 million. This is in 1985, and the key is when he heard the founder Jerry said, "Look, we're going to sell Starbucks because we bought 5 other stores called Pete's in San Francisco."
Right.
And he went,
so then he
wow.
bought Starbucks back. You know, Mike, I haven't got quite to that part in the book yet.
Well, let me tell you the book, so you don't have to go out and buy it. No, I'm just kidding. People on the call.
The part that I really was intrigued that I wanted to share with everybody today, because this was his dream, was to have espresso bars, and Starbucks wasn't willing to do it. They didn't want to make the change, but they actually invested in him when he went out on his own to start his own espresso stands. Basically, he had to raise money. And it's funny, I was reading this section. I think this sounds like a lot of network marketing. He says, so he's trying to raise money for his brand new idea, which is having espresso stands in Seattle. And he says, in the course of a year, I spent trying to raise money. I spoke to 240 people, and 217 of them said no. He says, try to imagine how disheartening it can be to hear that many times why your idea is not worth investing in. Some would listen to my hour-long presentation and not call me back. I'd phone them back, but they wouldn't take my call. When I finally got through, they'd tell me they weren't interested. It was a very humbling time. Sounds like network marketing, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does.
But he never gave up on his dream, and he persisted, and he finally convinced 3 of the wealthiest men in Seattle near the end of his rope to give him about $750,000, and that was the turning point for the launch of his chain. And then what Mike is talking about, he eventually bought Starbucks back from the owners and folded up his own chain, or folded it into Starbucks, and that's how the whole thing began. And here was a guy that grew up in the projects of New York for a working family. He lived in the projects, which was for people that were very, very poor, and came all the way to develop a $5-6 billion brand on Starbucks. Phenomenal story.
Hello?
Okay, where's these questions? The questions all disappeared here. Where are they? Where are my questions? Hold on here. Anything you wanted to add, Mike, further as I'm looking for my questions?
Just to keep your heart in it like he did. And a lot of the people gave him money because of his excitement, and they knew his heart, and he was compassionate about, launching this new company before Starbucks. So it's just like network marketing. You have to be compassionate. You have to love the product. You have to love the company. You have to put your heart and soul into it, and you can become a premier in a year's time.
Wow, okay. We're going to go through some of the scores for the week before we fold up the call. I know we're running just a little bit over, but we've got Jim Traguna, 37 points. Ann Van Brussel, 218 points. How to go, Ann. Star Theron, 48, 5 more than last time. Lori London, 24 points. Scott, 15 points. No local event scheduled. Scott, schedule your own event. Marcus, congratulations, 32 points. Sam White, 42 points. Chris Jordan had a poor week. He said 28. Okay, Chris, pick it up. John Schalt, 32 points. Van Lindquist, 93 points. Awesome, Van. Good job. Scott Peel, 27 points. Frida Mack, 45 points. Shirley Patev, hope I'm saying your name right, 26 points. Excellent. Patricia Coker, congratulations for signing people up. 30 points is okay. I think 50 would be an excellent. I'd say 30 is good. Stephen Moline, 33. Bonnie Geese, 35. Sandy Bennett, 94 points. Congratulations, Sandy. Sean, 32 points. Hey, you guys, come on, pick it up in the UK. Okay, so I think that's it. Jim in Las Vegas, Jim Edoff, 51 points. Great job, guys. Hermie Montani, 40 points. Marnie, 15. Dave Hansen, 33 points. Cass, 41. Hey, Cass, you're outdoing the boys over there. Krista, 40, taking it up a notch, and Lori London, 20, but more on the way when I register for the next event, and Debbie Pazzo, 55. So congratulations, all of the leaders, for stepping to the plate, making it happen, and congratulations on high scores. If you didn't score high, there's another week, right? Go ahead, Terry.
There's another week coming, and tomorrow is Sunday. So who are you going to call on Monday? That's what you really have to ask yourself. What action step are you going to make for Monday, and who will you call?
I can't believe we're running so far over here, but just get the juice out. That's where it all begins. We got the Dr. Miller Fifi Cheek call on February the 5th. And this is the Long Beach Regional. Looks like a pretty nice place down there in Mike's country. March 28th, 29th is the corporate event. The 30th, there'll be a day after the presentations. Both New School and Sherman Unkefer both having events on that day. So book in for that. Thank you all for coming out, and we'll see you at the next big event. Thanks, Mike, and thanks, Eva and Yvonne and Terry, for helping out on today's webinar. And we'll see you all next week. We're going to open up the line so that we can thank all the guests, okay? 1, 2, 3.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Great job.